My dears, before I begin, let me warn you. What I'm about to tell you still makes my hands tremble, even after all these years. Because the night I got that phone call, I felt as if someone had crawled out of my past and whispered straight into my ear. You thought the dead stayed silent, didn't you? I had no idea that one mistake, one innocent act of trust, would pull me back into the darkest room of my life. A room I had locked decades ago. A room with no windows. Only a single cracked floorboard hiding something I prayed no one would ever touch. Let me take you back. It was raining that evening, the kind of rain that taps like fingernails on the window. I was sitting alone, just me and the dim orange glow of my little lamp, reading an old letter from my late husband. I kept it close, you know. Sometimes when your old memories are warmer than blankets. My daughter, Maria, hadn't visited me for weeks. She used to come every Sunday. But lately she'd been avoiding me. Her voice rushed, her eyes tired, her hugs missing warmth. I didn't know why. Or maybe, I refused to know. Then, 2 days earlier, she'd done something that pierced my heart like cold metal. She took my late wife's necklace. You see, before my husband died, he gifted me one last thing. A pendant his mother gave him. Piece of my past. Piece of me. And my daughter. She took it. Said she needed urgent money and would return everything soon. But a mother knows when her child is lying, even if she's grown. I didn't scold her. I didn't cry. I just whispered, take it, but don't lose yourself with it. She didn't meet my eyes when she left. I thought the pain of that moment was the worst thing I'd feel that week. I was wrong, because at 11:43 p.m., the phone rang. A long cold ring. The kind that echoes through an old house like a warning. I answered. And the voice on the other end was not my daughter. It was a man. A stranger. Breathing too slowly. Speaking too softly. Ma'am, he said. We found something with your name on it. Something that concerns your daughter. My heart collapsed into itself. What happened? Where is she? He hesitated. And in that pause, in that dreadful silence, I swear I heard something else behind him. A distant thud. Or a footstep. Or maybe just my fear inventing shapes in the dark. Then he continued. We found a necklace. A red stone pendant. It's registered as property linked to an old missing persons case. One that was never closed. My blood turned to ice. He was talking about that case. The one I thought I'd buried forever. My daughter. I repeated. Where is she? We can't say over the phone, ma'am. But you need to come. Tonight. The line cut. Just like that. No address. No explanation. Only a faint clicking sound at the end. Like someone whispering a secret to the wires. I stood frozen. My breath shaking. The room around me suddenly colder. The necklace was never supposed to resurface. Not after what happened in the north cabin. Not after the diary I burned. Not after the promise I made to my late husband the night we buried the truth beneath that cracked floorboard. I felt the past crawling back. But fear wasn't the only thing twisting inside me. It was the thought of my daughter. My Maria. My last living piece of family. If something had happened to her, I wouldn't survive it. I grabbed my coat, my cane, and the small rusted key I kept hidden behind the old photo frame. The key to a room I had sworn never to open again. Because something deep inside me whispered, this is no accident. Someone had been waiting, watching. And they wanted me to come find them. Tell me, my dears, if you were in my place, would you go alone into the night for your child, even if the past you buried was darker than anything waiting in the present? And while you think about that, if my story has already pulled you in, then please, like, share, and subscribe, so I can keep telling you everything my trembling old heart still remembers. I stepped out into the rain. The wind pushed against me like unseen hands. Streetlights flickered. Shadows stretched longer than they should have. And as I locked my door behind me, I swear, I heard a whisper drift through my empty house. A whisper that wasn't mine. You shouldn't have given her the necklace. My breath froze, because that voice, that exact voice, belonged to someone who had been dead for 32 years. And that night, my dears, was only the beginning of the nightmare. My dears, I wish I could tell you that I walked into that night with steady feet. But the truth is, every step felt like walking back into a memory I had tried to bury beneath years of silence. The rain grew harsher as I reached the old bus stop near the church. The lamps flickered like tired eyes trying to stay awake. I clutched my coat tighter, the rusted key in my pocket pressing into my palm like a heartbeat. The key to the north cabin. The one place my daughter never knew existed. A place connected to the necklace she sold, and the person whose voice I thought I heard on the phone. As I waited, lightning cracked the sky for a moment, revealing the empty street, and something else. A shadow, standing at the far end of the road. Still, facing my direction. I blinked and it disappeared. Maybe it was a tree. Or maybe the past had learned how to walk again. The bus finally screeched to a stop. The doors opened, releasing a breath of warm, damp air. The driver, a tall man with a gray beard, looked at me through the mirror. "You out late tonight, ma'am?" His voice carried concern or a warning. "I need to get to the old county station," I replied. He hesitated, just for a breath, as if that destination carried weight. "Long ride," he said slowly. "And not many people go there anymore." "I'm not many people," I whispered. He didn't ask more. I moved to the back, settling into the torn leather seats. The lights hummed softly, and raindrops raced each other down the fogged windows. For a moment, I allowed myself to breathe. The bus rolled forward through the sleeping town, past shuttered shops and abandoned houses. I recognized every street, every corner. This was the road I used to travel years ago, before my husband died, before the night everything changed, before the disappearance. The bus rocked slightly and I closed my eyes, just for a moment. And suddenly, I wasn't in the bus anymore. I was back at the north cabin, holding that same necklace in my younger hands, watching my husband hammer shut the trapdoor beneath the cracked floor. "Promise me," he said, his voice trembling. "No one ever touches this again. Not even family." But he never told me why the necklace was cursed with so much fear in his eyes. He never told me the full truth. He died before he could. And now it was resurfacing. A sharp jolt woke me as the bus hit a pothole. The lights flickered. But something else flickered too. The seat in front of me. Someone had drawn on the leather with deep scratches. Not with a pen. With something sharp. 4 words. "Don't trust the caller." My blood froze. I leaned forward, fingers brushing the rough edges of the scratches. Fresh. Very fresh. The bus was almost empty. The only other passenger was a woman in a hooded coat, sitting 2 rows ahead. Her posture was stiff. Too stiff. I couldn't see her face. Only the reflection of her silhouette in the dark window. And her reflection wasn't still. It looked like she was smiling. I swallowed hard and looked away. The road ahead was swallowed in darkness. The driver announced, "County Station next." As the bus slowed, I gathered my courage, my cane, my trembling heart. When I stood up, the hooded woman turned, too slowly, like someone aware of being watched. But before I could see her face, the bus lights died completely. Pitch black. A sound echoed in that darkness. A whisper, very close to my ear. "You shouldn't have come alone." I gasped and grabbed the pole beside me. My pulse slammed in my chest. And then, the lights flickered back on. The hooded woman was gone. Literally gone. No footsteps, no opening door, nothing. Only the scratched warning on the seat remained. The driver glanced back, confused. "You coming, ma'am? This is your stop." My legs shook, but I forced myself onto the wet pavement. The bus rumbled away, taillights vanishing into the storm. Now I was standing at the old county station, an empty, half-broken building with a single flickering bulb over the entrance. But I wasn't alone. Someone was watching me. I felt it the moment the bus left, the kind of heavy, cold stare that presses between your shoulder blades. I didn't turn around. My husband always said, "When you feel watched, don't look back. Fear feeds on attention." So I walked forward. Inside, the station was deserted, except for one man sitting on a bench. He was wearing a black coat, hat pulled low, hands clasped around something I couldn't see. He didn't look up when I entered. Instead, he spoke with a voice faint but clear. "Mrs. Alvarez?" My breath caught. "How do you know my name?" I whispered. He slowly raised his head. Not high enough for me to see his eyes, just enough to reveal something in his hands. A red stone necklace. My necklace. The one my daughter sold. The one tied to the case I prayed the world had forgotten. It's time you came with me, he said. Where is my daughter? My voice cracked. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out an old photograph, one I recognized instantly. A picture we took at the north cabin. Me, my husband, and someone else standing behind us in the shadows. Someone we never invited. Someone I had never seen until that day. I stared at the blurred figure. Tall, lean, face hidden. A stranger who shouldn't have been there. Your daughter didn't know what she was selling, the man said. She didn't know what she awakened. I stepped back, fear crawling under my skin. What did she awaken? He finally looked up. And my dears. His eyes were the same color as the stone in that necklace. A color I had seen only once before, in the eyes of the missing man from 32 years ago. The one we never found. The one who whispered in my empty house. The past, he said softly, is coming for all of us. And then he stood up. My dears, I wish I could tell you I stayed brave in that moment, standing under the flickering light of that abandoned station. But when the man lifted his head and I saw those redstone eyes staring at me, my courage cracked like thin ice. His eyes weren't naturally colored, no. They shimmered faintly, like someone had trapped embers behind glass. Just like the necklace stone my husband had warned me about. I clutched my cane. Where is my daughter? I demanded again, voice trembling but firm. He didn't speak right away. He studied me, as if he was measuring something inside me. My fear perhaps, or my truth. Finally he said, she's alive for now. My knees weakened. For now. I whispered. He took 2 slow steps toward me, each one echoing in the empty station. Your daughter came to us, he said. Not by choice, but by consequence. What consequence? He lifted the necklace slightly. This stone, he said, belongs to a family older than yours, older than this town, older than the cabin you locked it away in. My breath froze. You know about the cabin? A faint smile tugged the corner of his mouth. I lived there long before you ever did. No, that couldn't be true. The cabin belonged to my husband's uncle, then to us, then to silence. Who are you? I asked. He tilted his head, as though deciding how much truth I deserved. I am the one who was forgotten, he said softly. The one your husband tried to erase. My heart clenched. I don't believe you. You don't have to, he replied. But your daughter certainly does. She saw something she shouldn't have. Something that was never meant to resurface. Something buried under the cracked floorboard. My pulse stumbled. How do you know about the floorboard? My voice broke. Did you follow her? Did you hurt her? He didn't move. Didn't blink. I didn't have to. Curiosity led her farther than we expected. We. He said we. That single word sliced through me. Who is we? A pause. Long enough to hear the wind dragging its nails across the broken station windows. We, he whispered, are the ones who want what was stolen from us. He extended the necklace toward me. This, he said, was never yours to keep. But your husband knew that, didn't he? I swallowed hard. My husband's face flashed in my mind. The night he came home shaking, mud on his boots, a bruise across his cheek. He never explained. He only said, we must leave the cabin. Now. But I didn't press him. You don't question a man whose eyes look like he's seen something that shouldn't exist. I took one careful step forward. If you knew my husband, I whispered, why didn't you come for the necklace earlier? His jaw tightened. Because I was trapped. A chill crept up my spine. Trapped where? His voice lowered into a rasp. Under the cabin. My cane slipped from my hand. No, that's not possible. We searched that place. You searched, he interrupted. But you didn't listen. Listen to what? To the knocking. A scream rose in my throat but died before it left my mouth. Because now, my dears, I remembered. There was knocking. Back then. Late at night. Soft at first like wood expanding. Then louder like fists pounding through the earth. My husband dismissed it as animals. Wind. Old wood. But one night, I woke to the sound of a voice under the floorboards. A whisper. Barely there. Help me. I had convinced myself it was a dream, but now, standing there in front of this man with ember-red eyes, I knew the truth I had buried with my husband. Someone was under that cabin. Someone alive. And now that someone was standing inches from me, I stepped back. "You're lying," I whispered, though every piece of me knew he wasn't. He leaned closer, voice brushing my ear like cold breath. "Your husband knew he couldn't kill me, so he sealed me instead." I gasped. "Sealed? Not buried. Sealed. Why would he do that?" My voice broke. "What did he do to you?" He straightened, eyes burning. "He stole what was ours. And your daughter, just like him, followed the same path of greed." "Maria isn't greedy," I snapped, sudden fire in my chest. "She's my child. And children repeat what they're taught," he murmured. My hands trembled with anger, but fear still held my spine in an icy grip. "What do you want from me?" He extended his hand. "Come with me." "Where?" "To your daughter." "Alive?" I asked again. His silence lasted too long. "Take me to her," I demanded. He finally nodded. "Follow." He walked toward the station doors. I hesitated, gripping my cane. Then something caught my eye. On the bench where he had been sitting, a thin layer of water, rainwater, puddled, but his coat was completely dry. I frowned. "How did you get wet sitting inside?" I asked. He didn't turn. "The same way I got out from under the cabin," he said. "Not the way you think." A shiver climbed my spine. Outside, the storm screamed louder. He stepped into the darkness without looking back. I wanted to run. I wanted to collapse. I wanted to pray. But Maria's face filled my heart and I followed. Outside, the air smelled like wet earth and old secrets. The man pointed toward a narrow road disappearing behind the trees. "She's waiting," he said. "For me." I whispered. "No. For the truth." Lightning flashed, and for a split second, I saw someone standing far down the road. A silhouette. Small. Still. My daughter. Or something shaped like her. "When you see her," the man said softly, "remember, people can be found but innocence cannot be returned." I took one step forward. Then another. The road ahead swallowed me whole. And the nightmare began to breathe again. My dears, if fear had a sound, it would be the crunch of wet leaves beneath my shoes that night. Every step felt like I was walking deeper into the lungs of a beast. Each breath hot, humid, and waiting. The man with the redstone eyes walked ahead of me, silent, steady, like he knew every branch, every shadow, every secret the forest held. I clutched my cane, my coat, and my trembling heart. Ahead, the narrow road twisted into darkness. But the silhouette I'd seen during the lightning flash, the one that looked like my daughter, it kept pulling me forward like a hook in my ribs. "Is she really there?" I whispered. The man didn't turn. Truth rarely hides far. We walked past crooked trees leaning toward us like eavesdroppers. The rain softened to a mist, but fog rose from the ground in slow circles, curling around my legs like cold fingers trying to drag me back. For a moment, the only sound was the drip of water from the branches. Then, a soft tap. Behind me. I froze. Another tap. Like footsteps that didn't want to be footsteps. I swallowed tightly. "Someone's following." "Yes," the man said calmly. "Don't look back." "But, don't." His tone sharpened. "You've looked back your whole life. And see where it brought you." My breath caught. He wasn't wrong. I had spent years looking over my shoulder, for my husband's unspoken fears, for the past I didn't understand, for the day the silence around the cabin would break. But tonight, the past wasn't behind me. It was walking beside me. After minutes of uneasy silence, the man stepped off the road and moved toward a cluster of old birch trees, their pale bark glowing ghost-like in the dimness. "I need you to see something," he said. "I only want my daughter. And you will get her, if you survive the truth." He knelt and brushed aside wet leaves. Underneath lay a wooden sign. Rotten. Cracked. The faded letters still readable. "North Cabin. Closed since 1993. My stomach twisted. That's the year. I swallowed hard. The year he died. "Your husband," the man said. "Yes." Lightning hissed across the sky, revealing the forest in a white flash. And there, just beyond the trees, something moved. A figure. Short. Still. Facing us. My heart leapt. Maria? I stepped forward, voice shaking. Maria? The figure didn't move. But the man blocked my path with one arm. That's not her. My throat tightened. But I saw. The forest shows you what you fear, he murmured. And what you miss. The figure dissolved into the fog as if it had never been there. A chill crawled up my neck. What do you want me to see? I whispered. He pointed at the wooden sign. This was the first warning your husband ignored. I knelt slowly, my old bones aching. What warning? He brushed mud from the ground. Beneath it lay something small, metal, almost fully buried. He pressed it into my hands. A padlock. Rust-eaten. Still attached to a broken chain. Not from the cabin. Not from anything of ours. This, he said softly, belonged to the man who went missing. My breath trembled. The man you claim my husband sealed under the cabin? I don't claim, he said. I remember. His voice changed as he said it. Lower. Hollow. Almost inhuman. I took a shaky step back. I don't believe you. My husband wasn't a killer. No, he whispered. But he was desperate. For what? He touched the stone of the necklace. For this. The forest went dead silent. No wind. No rain. Just the sound of my pulse pounding in my ears. What is that stone? I asked quietly. His eyes flickered. You call it a necklace. He paused. We call it an anchor. Anchor to what? To what lives beneath. I felt my chest tighten. What lives beneath what? He looked at me slowly. The floorboard you sealed. I stumbled back. No, I was there. I never saw anything. You weren't supposed to. His voice dropped to a whisper. You were supposed to leave before it awoke. I pressed a trembling hand to my mouth. Awoke? Something was alive down there. He didn't answer with words. He simply pointed deeper into the forest. Your daughter saw it. My heart cracked. What did she see? He stepped closer, his voice soft, almost gentle. She opened the wrong thing. Tears stung my eyes. Tell me what happened to her. He studied me for a long time. Finally. She went to your old house first. My house. Your first home. Before you moved to the cabin. My breath hitched. How do you know where I lived? Because that's where I went after I escaped. My legs nearly gave out. You escaped from under the cabin? No, he said calmly. I was released. I stared at him, horrified. Released by who? This time he stepped close enough that I could feel the cold radiating off him. By your daughter. The forest groaned with wind, branches bending violently as if reacting to the truth itself. My voice broke in half. No, she wouldn't, she couldn't, she didn't know. She knew enough, he whispered. Enough to open what your husband died trying to keep closed. I shook my head, tears slipping down my cheeks. Take me to her, I begged. Please. And for the first time, he softened. Come. He walked toward a narrow clearing. I followed, heart choking me with every step. The fog thickened until it felt like walking through cold breath. We reached the edge of the clearing, and he stopped. I saw her. My daughter. Sitting on the ground, back against a tree. Head bowed. Hands tied. Clothes soaked. Alive, but motionless. My knees gave out as a sob escaped my chest. Maria. But the man grabbed my wrist before I could run to her. Wait. Let me go. I cried. You don't understand, he said firmly. She's alive, but she's not alone. My heart froze. Not alone. He pointed at the ground beneath her. I looked. And my dears, I swear the earth under her was breathing. Slowly rising. Slowly falling. Like something large and living slept just beneath the soil. Waiting. And then, she lifted her head. But those weren't my daughter's eyes. My dears, I have lived long enough to see storms break mountains, families fall apart, and memories turn to dust. But nothing prepared me for the moment my daughter lifted her head in that fog-soaked clearing, and looked at me with eyes that didn't belong to her. They were too dark, too deep, too still, like the surface of a lake that hides its dead. Maria, I whispered, my throat burning. She didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't move. Only her eyes shifted slowly, locking onto mine. The man with the redstone eyes held my wrist tighter. "Don't go closer," he murmured. "She's my child," I snapped. "Let me go." "She's not alone," he repeated. "Look at the ground." The earth beneath her wasn't just rising and falling now. It was quivering. Tiny ripples spreading outward from her feet like something was trying to surface. Something breathing through her. A faint sound escaped her lips. Not a word. Not a sob. A hum. Low. Vibrating. Strange, like two voices layered in one throat. My entire body went cold. "What did you do to her?" I whispered to the man. "She did it to herself," he replied. I shook my head in disbelief. No, she would never. She didn't know what the necklace was. He stared at me slowly. She didn't know what she sold, but she knew what she found. Lightning cracked overhead. For a moment the clearing lit up, and I saw more than I wanted to. The soil beneath my daughter's legs wasn't just breathing. It was cracking. Thin lines. Shifting lines. Like a hand pressing from beneath. My voice broke inside me. "What's under there?" The man spoke softly, as though explaining something to a child. "The first guardian." "Guardian?" I whispered. "Of what?" He tapped the redstone necklace. "Of this." My breath trembled. "Explain." He exhaled, eyes glowing faintly. "There were once 7 stones. 7 anchors. Each holding one truth in place. Each guarded by someone chosen. Long ago, one guardian vanished. And your husband found what he was not meant to find." "My husband wasn't a thief," I insisted. "He wasn't," the man said. "But desperate men do desperate things." "Why desperate?" I demanded. He hesitated. For the first time he looked almost human. "He was afraid for you." A tear slipped down my cheek. "For me?" "Yes." A pause. "You were falling sick. Fainting. Forgetting. He believed the stone could cure you." My knees weakened. My illness. "He never told me he was looking for help." "He didn't want to frighten you," the man said. "But when he took the stone, the guardian woke." "And you?" My voice trembled. "You say you are that guardian?" He didn't answer. But the forest did. Every branch stilled. Every leaf froze. As though bowing. Acknowledging something ancient. "I don't believe you," I whispered even as my heart crumpled. "You will." Behind us my daughter's hum grew louder. The ground shook. And then, Maria's head tilted unnaturally far. Too far. As if her neck was bending toward a whisper only she could hear. "Maria!" I cried. "Baby, can you hear me?" The hum stopped. Silence. Then she spoke. But the voice wasn't hers. Not even close. "You left us." I staggered backward. No, sweetheart, I never left you." The voice grew deeper. "You buried us under wood and lies." The man stepped between us. "It's waking," he said sharply. "Get behind me." "No," I shouted. "I won't hide while my child." He turned, his redstone eyes blazing. "If you go to her now, you will not come back." My heart twisted violently. But when I looked at my daughter again, I froze. Her eyes, those dark, bottomless eyes, were now bleeding color. A faint red glowing like the stone. I whispered, trembling. "She's becoming like you." "No," he replied. "She's becoming like what lies beneath." A heavy rumble shook the soil. Maria's fingers twitched. Her pupils throbbed. I took a step forward despite his warning. "Maria, baby, it's Mama. Look at me. Please." Her head snapped toward me with a crack. And she smiled. My blood turned ice. "You shouldn't have come," the voice inside her whispered. Too late now. The ground split beneath her legs. And for a moment, I saw it. A hand. Gray. Long-fingered. Clawing upward. I screamed. "Get her out." I begged the man. "Please." He didn't move. "She must let go of the truth she awakened." "What truth?" "That your husband didn't die trying to protect the cabin." His voice lowered. "He died trying to protect you." My breath shattered. No, that can't. "He died in the storm." "He died beneath the cabin," the man said coldly. fighting what is rising right now. My heart broke like glass. You're lying. But before he could respond, the ground erupted. A violent tremor burst through the clearing, sending mud and leaves flying. Maria screamed. Not her voice, but something crawling through her vocal cords. The man grabbed my arm. Run, he said. I'm not leaving her. Then you will die with her. No. The trembling intensified. Roots tore from the ground. Fog split apart. And something massive, something ancient, something hungry, shifted directly beneath my daughter's body. She cried out, this time in her real voice. Mom, help me. It's pulling me. My heart nearly burst. Hold on, baby. Hold on. I lunged toward her, but the man seized me with a grip stronger than bone. If you step there, he growled, it will take you instead. Then let it. He dragged me back as the earth split wider. Maria's nails dug into the roots. She screamed my name. Emom, please, please, don't leave me. I fought him with everything in me. My cane fell. My knees scraped rock. My voice tore open. Let me go. He tightened his hold. I'm trying to save you. I turned on him with every ounce of a mother's wrath. Then save my daughter. Silence. Just for a heartbeat. Then, for the first time, he looked shaken. I can't stop what's waking, he whispered. But I can reach what holds her. What holds her? I cried. What is it? His eyes darkened. The one your husband sealed. The ground gave one final violent heave. Maria's body jerked, and she was dragged downward an inch. Her scream tore the night apart. Please, Emom, don't let it take me. I sobbed, falling to the ground, fingers clawing the dirt. Please, save her. The guardian, or man, or monster, whatever he truly was, stepped forward at last. I can enter the soil, he said. But if I do, you will face the truth alone. What truth? I screamed. He met my eyes. The truth your husband died to hide. Then, he vanished, straight into the ground, like the earth swallowed him willingly, and I was left kneeling in the rain, watching the soil breathe, while my child slipped inch by inch into the mouth of the past. My dears, if you've stayed with me this far, then hold my trembling hands now, because what happened next was the moment I realized I was no longer alone in that house, and whatever was with me, it wasn't human. After finding that second diary, my daughter's handwriting slowly turning into something darker, something not hers, I walked back into my room. I should have slept. I should have locked the door, closed the curtains, prayed. But I couldn't. My mind kept replaying those final words from the diary. She wants the necklace back. And she knows you still have it. At that moment my breath escaped me. 'Cause I didn't still have it. I had hidden it years ago. Somewhere no one would ever think to look. Only 2 people in the world had ever known about that hiding place. My late husband, and my daughter. But now someone or something else knew too. The house felt colder by the second. Not winter cold, but a deeper one. The kind that seeps into your bones, whispering warnings your mind cannot translate. I lit a candle and placed it beside me. Its flame wavered like it was scared too. Then, treat. A long dragging noise crawled from the hallway. I froze. Another. And another. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Uneven. Almost as if someone was dragging one leg behind them. My old heart thudded against my ribs. I've lived long enough to know the difference between the sound of pipes, old wood, or a settling house. These weren't that. These were footsteps. I whispered to myself, you're not imagining it. You heard that. Someone's here. I stood up, clutching my shawl tightly. The candlelight trembled against the walls. My door was still closed. But the footsteps, they were standing right outside it now. Thump. Pause. Thump. Each thump syncing with my heartbeat. Who's out there? I whispered, barely able to force the words out of my dry mouth. No answer. Only the breathing. Yes, the breathing. A slow, strained, raspy inhale. Then a wet, gurgling exhale, as if someone's lungs were filled with water. I covered my mouth to stop myself from screaming. Then suddenly, a shadow slid under my door. Long, thin, distorted. It stretched across the floor like a hand reaching for me. The candle flickered violently. My knees buckled. I knelt on the floor, gripping the corner of the bed for balance. Please don't, I whispered without even knowing who I was pleading to. The shadow stayed there, silent, watching, waiting. Then, knock. A single knock on my door. Not loud, not angry, just deliberate, slow, almost polite. Another knock, softer, like someone testing the wood. My breathing grew quick and sharp. That door had been locked earlier. I had locked it myself. I remembered turning the key. But now, I noticed the metal glinting on the floor. The key. On the ground. Not in the lock. Something had taken it out and placed it there. I pressed my back against the wooden wardrobe behind me, clutching the candle. I whispered to myself, I'm too old for this. I can't run. I can't fight. But I could listen. I could observe. The knocking stopped. And then, something whispered my name. Not my full name. My nickname. The one only my husband and daughter used. Ma. But it wasn't her voice. It wasn't human at all. It was like two voices layered together, one deep, one high, echoing through a hollow throat. My vision blurred for a moment. My daughter's diary flashed before my eyes. The scratched words, the warnings, the desperation in her handwriting. My hands shook violently. I whispered, "What do you want?" There was no reply, only the sound of slow breathing, getting closer to the floor, as if the thing outside had bent down, pressing its mouth against the gap under the door. The candle flame rose unnaturally tall, 3 inches, 4. Then the door handle twitched. Once, twice, then slowly turned. I screamed, and no. The door shuddered but didn't open. Something growled, soft, irritated, almost offended, then took a step back. And the footsteps walked away. Not quickly, not angrily, calmly, deliberately, as if saying, "This isn't over. I'll return." The hallway went silent. The house breathed again. I collapsed beside the bed and let the candle burn until it died on its own. I must have fainted or drifted into a terrified sleep, because when I opened my eyes, morning light was spilling into my room. The door was still intact. But the lock was scratched. Deep claw-like lines circling the metal. I traced one with my fingertip. It was jagged fresh. My voice trembled as I whispered, "What are you? And why my daughter?" I needed answers, and I knew exactly where to find them. There was one place in the entire house I had never entered since my daughter disappeared, because I was too scared of what I'd find. Her old room. The room she had locked from the inside the night she left. The room I had boarded shut. But fear was no longer bigger than my need for truth. I stood on unsteady feet, picked up the candle stub and walked toward that room. Each step echoed like a warning. When I reached the door, my heart nearly stopped, 'cause someone had already unboarded it. The planks lay on the floor, neat, stacked, as if gently removed one by one. My hand shook as I reached for the doorknob. It was warm, as if someone had just touched it. I pushed the door open, and what I saw inside, my dear children, was something no mother, no grandmother should ever witness. Something that changed everything I thought I knew about my daughter, my husband, my family, about myself. And it was only the beginning. My dear children, when I pushed open that door, I swear the air in the entire house changed. The moment the hinges groaned, a stale, cold breath escaped the room, like something inside had been waiting far too long for me to return. For years I avoided this room. I boarded it shut myself. I couldn't bear to see her things, her bed, her memories. But now I had no choice. The door swung open, and I froze, because nothing, absolutely nothing, was where it should have been. Her bed was gone. Her dresser gone. Her books nowhere. Instead, the entire room was filled with candles. Hundreds of them. Tall, short, melted, fresh, circling the room like a ritual. Every wick was burnt black. Every flame had died a long time ago. In the center of the room, placed on the floor like a sacred offering, the necklace. My wife's necklace. The one my daughter had taken. The one she had claimed was lost. The one that diary said they wanted back. It lay gently on a cracked old mirror, as if placed there by careful hands. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. I stepped inside the room, slow, trembling steps, my fingers dragging along the wall for support. The mirror under the necklace had words carved into it. Not written. Carved. Deep scratches, jagged and uneven, etched by someone in a rush, or someone not entirely human. The words read, "I tried to save her." My breath hitched. The necklace gleamed under the faint early light. I reached out, my hand shaking, but before I could touch it, a soft cry rose from the corner of the room. I whipped around, clutching my shawl. My heart nearly gave out. There behind the candle's circle, curled up on the dusty floor, a little girl, hair covering her face, knees pulled to her chest, her tiny shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I whispered, "Sweetheart, are you hurt?" No answer. Only trembling. I stepped closer. "Do you need help, child? Are you lost? Who brought you here?" Still no answer. Only slow shaking breaths. My voice cracked. "Please show me your face." The little girl lifted her head, and all the breath left my lungs, because her face was my daughter's, but not grown, not the woman who disappeared, not the daughter I raised. It was her. Exactly as she looked when she was 8 years old. My knees buckled. I whispered her name, barely able to speak it. She opened her mouth, and in a voice layered with fear, grief and something ancient beneath it, she whispered, "Ma, you shouldn't have opened the door." The room shook. Every candle trembled, wax crumbling like dust. I stumbled backward, my hands gripping the wall. What are you?" I whispered. She stood slowly, eerily, yet her feet didn't disturb the dust on the floor. Her eyes were not my daughter's eyes. One was normal, human, warm brown, the other completely black. No white, no pupil, just a void. She stepped toward me, and the shadows in the room stretched like ropes around her feet. My hands shook uncontrollably. "Mary Bocci, what happened to you?" She didn't blink. "Ma, I tried to send you signs. I wrote in my diary. I knocked on your door. I told you to stay away." My voice cracked. "But why? Why haunt me?" She flinched like the word hurt. "I wasn't haunting you. I was warning you." Before I could speak, she pointed to the necklace on the mirror. Something else was following me. Something older than us. Something that lived in the necklace. I thought selling it would free me. Her lips trembled. It only freed her. A shadow formed behind her. Tall. Distorted. With long thin fingers stretching toward the ceiling. My body turned ice. "What do you want from me?" I croaked. My daughter child whispered. "She wants the necklace back, so she can attach herself to someone new. She feeds on fear, ma, on guilt, on old grief. When I left home, she followed me. And when I disappeared, it wasn't because I ran away." Her black eye widened, filling with tears. "She took me." The candles all blew out at once. Darkness swallowed the room. I felt something cold grip my shoulder. Long fingers. Impossible fingers. My daughter child whispered in the darkness. "Ma, listen carefully. You can still be saved. But only if you don't wear the necklace." I gasped. "Wear it? Why would?" A deep, guttural voice behind me completed my sentence. "Because it belongs to you now." I spun around. Nothing. Nothing but darkness. When the candles flickered back to life, the little girl, my daughter, was standing by the mirror. "Ma, it's time." She picked up the necklace and held it out to me with trembling hands. I shook my head violently. "No, I don't want it." "You have to take it," she sobbed. "If you don't, she will." The shadow behind her grew larger, taller, its head brushing the ceiling, its limbs cracking into place with sickening pops. I screamed. My daughter child pushed the necklace into my hands, and the shadow lunged toward her. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I grabbed her tiny shoulders and pulled her behind me. For the first time in years, I felt strong. I raised the necklace. The shadow froze like the metal burned her. And then, she let out a screech so sharp it cracked the mirror under our feet. The shadow recoiled, dissolved, seeped into the floorboards. Gone. The room fell silent. My daughter child collapsed into my arms. Her voice soft, fading. "Ma, thank you. You finished what I couldn't." I held her tight, sobbing like I hadn't in decades. "You're safe now, Mary John, you're safe." Her small fingers touched my cheek. "Ma, it's okay. I'm not scared anymore. But I can't stay." My heart dropped. What do you mean? She smiled, the same smile she had when she was 8. I was never really here. Not fully. Just a memory trying to warn you. And as the morning light spilled across the room, she faded. Slowly. Gently. Until all that remained in my arms was air. I fell to the floor, clutching the necklace, crying into the silence. I lost her once. I lost her again. But this time she left with peace. And now every night, I sit alone in this old house. Sometimes I still hear footsteps. Sometimes a whisper. But they don't scare me anymore. As I know, my daughter isn't the one haunting this house. She's the one protecting it.